Tamara Edwards raised 4 children on her own in Mississippi, applying for welfare benefits just once for childcare while she worked. Each year, Mississippi gets $86 million in welfare money from the federal government, though the state rejects 90% of those who apply, including Edwards.
When I reapplied, I was not able to be on it again because they told me that they didn't have the fundings for it.
But the state was dispersing millions more of its welfare dollars, just not to families that urgently needed it. In court documents and audit reports, the state alleges that the head of Mississippi's welfare agency squandered more than $70 million intended for children in poverty. Instead, using it as a private slush fund to benefit his family and friends. Tens of millions of dollars on items like hiring retired pro wrestlers, first-class air travel, a horse ranch, and $5 million to build this women's volleyball facility at the University of Southern Mississippi. That building with ties to an NFL Hall of Famer. Brett Favre's daughter played volleyball at the university. Text messages obtained by Mississippi Today show Favre saying he helped secure government grant money for a new arena. And he personally was paid more than $1 million to give 3 motivational speeches that never happened.
See, this is why I tell my son now, I tell people all the time, it's important that you don't idolize these figures. It's important that you keep these people in proper perspective. Keep them on a human level in your head, in your life, the way you see them, the way you think about them. Because they'll let you down, man. Now, this guy, Brett Favre, bro, I've been a fan of the Packers since 1996, 1997 season. Got to see Brett Favre play, and I've been a fan ever since. Bro, that was for football. This right here, this is different, man. This is sad. This is disgusting. This is cringe at best. Former Governor Phil Bryant helped Brett Favre secure welfare funding for USM Volleyball Stadium, text reveal. Never before seen text messages show former Governor Phil Bryant tried to shepherd a proposal to use welfare funds on the construction of a new volleyball stadium for retired NFL player Brett Favre, a project prosecutors have called a scheme to defraud the government. Bryant has previously denied any involvement with the project, which has emerged as the centerpiece of a massive criminal scandal in which prominent officials misspent or stole millions in welfare funds intended for the nation's poorest residents. I repeat, intended for the nation's poorest residents. And this is a guy who accumulated around $150 million during his time playing. And we're talking about 1990s NFL football. That's how much money Brett Favre was making ahead of the curve. He was making head and shoulders above the average quarterback. You know, and this is a guy who still has his Wrangler commercials, still part of the NFL circuit, still getting interviews. The government paid him $1 million just to do freaking a speech, just to do speeches. They set it up so all he has to do, they funnel the money through his speeches. All he has to do is make speeches. They give him the money for the volleyball joint, right? What's interesting to me is that this says Bryant has previously denied any involvement. So there has been a previous time where he's been under investigation or at least questioned about this. Now, this is a former governor, and obviously he wasn't a former governor when this whole scheme was taking place. Now, what I'm not distracted by is them saying Brett Favre wanted a volleyball thing, whatever. You know what I mean? That's a side note, I feel like, in the grand scheme of this whole thing. In comparison to the fact that this government only gets $86 million a year for welfare for the whole state. So you're talking about around 90% of applicants get denied in Mississippi. We're talking about Mississippi being the poorest state in America. We're talking about one of the richest guys in the state of Mississippi stealing from literally every poor person. Now, the welfare system itself has its flaws, but you know, that's not what we're here to discuss. These guys are displaying criminal behavior, and I'm curious to see what kind of criminal charges are going to come, because we already know that it's not going to be as severe as if you did it. It's just not, man. And that's probably the saddest part of it all. Now, just to jump into this article here, text messages entered Monday into the state's ongoing civil lawsuit over the welfare scandal revealed for former Governor Phil Bryant, pushed to make NFL legend Brett Favre's volleyball idea a reality. The text showed that the then governor even guided Favre on how to write a funding proposal so that it could be accepted by the Mississippi Department of Human Services, even after Bryant ousted the former welfare agency director John Davis for suspected fraud. Wow, this guys are, just left Brett Favre, Bryant tested nonprofit founder Nancy knew in July of 2019, within weeks of Davis' departure. Can we help him with this project? We should meet soon to see how I can make sure we keep your projects on course. Wow. When Favre asked Bryant how the new agency director might affect their plans to fund the volleyball stadium, Bryant assured him, I will handle that. Long story, but had to make a change. But I will call Nancy and see what it will take, according to the filing and a text far forwarded to New. So, yeah, man, these guys are just out in the open, getting down and dirty, stealing from the poor, stealing from their fellow citizen. You know, it's just cringe, man. Bryant has 4 years denied any close involvement in the steering of welfare funds to the volleyball stadium, though plans for the project even included naming the building after him. One text shows, wow, and he denies it after, wow. New, a friend of Bryant's wife, Deborah, ran a nonprofit that was in charge of spending tens of millions of flexible federal welfare dollars outside of public view. What's followed was the biggest public fraud case in state history. According to the state auditor's office, nonprofit leaders had misspent at least $77 million in funds that were supposed to help the needy, and forensic auditors found it. New pleaded guilty to 13 felony counts related to the scheme, and Davis awaits trial, but neither Bryant nor Favre have been charged with any crime. That's weird. And while the state-of-the-art facility represents the single largest known fraudulent purchase within the scheme, according to one of the criminals defendant's plea agreement, the state is not pursuing the matter in its ongoing civil complaint. Current Governor Tate Reeves abruptly fired the attorney bringing the state's case when he tried to subpoena documents related to the volleyball stadium. The messages also show that a separate $1.1 million welfare contract Favre received to promote the program, the subject of many national headlines, was simply a way to get more funding to the volleyball project. I could record a few radio spots, Favre texted New, according to the New feeling, and whatever compensation could go to USM. Wow, okay, so lately Favre has been kind of like popping up here and there as far as NFL talk, but he's been saying a lot of controversial things. Now we have a clear view as to why, as to the actual scheme behind him being so indifferent, so controversial with the things he's said just about football, just about regular things. He's been a very strange guy for the last 10 to 15 years. And it's kind of hard to look past that when you're looking at a situation like this where he's involved in a big money scheme, a big benefit heist, a big, government theft, government fraud situation. You look at him, the way he toyed with the media, the way he toyed with his employer when he was in the NFL, the way he toys with, like his opinion now. He kind of just throws it around and doesn't, he doesn't leave a good trail, man. Brett Favre is not leaving a good trail on this earth as far as his latter years, and it's pretty sad to see, honestly. Now, let me say this. Every year, Mississippi gets $86 million in welfare money from the federal government. However, the state rejects 90% of those who apply. The head of the welfare agency squandered the funds, the state alleges, including $5 million to build a women's volleyball facility with ties to an NFL Hall of Famer, Brett Favre. Favre, who declined to talk to NBC News, of course, was questioned by the FBI. His attorney says never knew the funds came from the welfare money and paid it back after demands by state officials. Favre has not been accused or charged with this crime. Bruh, you have to be low down, dirty, scumbag, you have to be a shit for brains to sit here and take from the welfare fund, bro. Bro, you're taking from the welfare fund. That's not even, I don't see a way where he should come out of this unscathed. At the very least, we should be looking at that former governor doing some kind of jail time. Brett Favre should be doing some kind of jail time. You're locking up people. I remember when a year or two ago, they were trying to lock up people that tried to fraud the unemployment, and they were trying to lock those people up. They're trying to lock up people that scheme the food stamps, the regular people. The regular people that do it, they go to jail for shit like this. That's what pisses me off about it, is a regular person does this, they're looking at federal charges. They're looking at federal sentencing, at least 3, 4, 5 years of probation. You're not going to sit here and just do this, walk around in the public like everybody else. No charges pending. That shit don't make sense. Doesn't make sense, y'all. Now, Brett Favre has always been, he's had his things, his misdealings as far as during his career, with his addiction, domestic issues, just the way he held the freaking franchise for ransom at the end of his career, with his retirement. He's always been, I guess I would say, he's always been against the grain, kind of kind of a rebel or some, yeah, I would say rebel. But this right here, man, this is as low as it gets, bro. It's as low as it can get for a person, and not just his position, but the governor's position. How do you go back and trust your state officials after something like this, after you watch people get caught up in something like this and they just bond out of jail? You know what I mean? After you see that the people who control every dollar in the state government are the ones controlling every dollar in the state government. Where do we go from here? Because not just for football or Brett Favre purposes or for your celebrity drama, but this is a big tell as far as where the money is really going. And I think this needs to open up the window or the door or the avenue for other states to investigate and audit even further. Audit the auditor, you know what I mean? Make sure the people that are supposed to get help are supposed to get help, because what you see here is that these nonprofits aren't always what they say they are. They aren't always what they say they are. They said this has been going on for years. There could be one right now that's going on, might get exposed 4 or 5 years from now. So real dark shit, man. I grew up a Brett Favre fan, used to draw him in middle school. I remember drawing pictures of Brett Favre, and that number 4 was what attracted me to being a Packers fan. I don't know, the same things that's freaking horrible about him, the same reason why I was a fan of him on the football field. You know, he's just reckless, you know? Reckless, but, you know, competitive, wants to win. And at the end of the day, that might be the thing that takes Brett Favre down.